Welcome back to Wealth Mavericks, the podcast where we help doctors unlock the secrets to building generational wealth. And today, we're talking about how we help practice owners feel less alone and more in control in their business.
What other kind of organization do you get to do this kind of work and Uncle Sam is the one footing the bill? My job is to help you make a practice that you would never want to sell because it's operationally so smooth and requires so little from you, and you can just do the thing that you're passionate about.
Hey, Joe, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Thank you. Today, we are going to talk specifically to our practice owner listeners. We talk a lot about our membership around here, but what we don't talk a lot about is that we actually have different levels of membership depending on how deeply we can serve. And so for practice owners, we have levels that serve them on a much higher level. So you are doing this work directly with some of these members. So I want to hear from you today about why we offer these different levels and how we are helping these people.
Yeah, I love the work that we get to do. I mean, what other kind of organization do you get to do this kind of work and Uncle Sam is the one footing the bill for everything to work? So again, everything is predicated upon us being able to save them money and build their wealth. So with our practice owner doctors, there are a lot deeper needs that they have, or what we have found opportunities to serve them. Whether it's from increasing the valuation of their practice if and when they choose to sell down the road, whether it's operational efficiency, how do we get our practice to run more smoothly or more profitably? It could be personnel issues. It could be more accounting, that they need outside of like our personal service on finance side. And a lot of this, this just came to us. So a lot of my background in the coaching industry, I've been in the coaching industry for 20 plus years, lots of time serving business owners, not just doctors, but just business owners in general. And we kind of found an outlet for that knowledge with these practice owners. And I would say more than anything, what I think they feel like coming into this relationship with us is they just feel alone. Like they're just building this on their own. And sadly, and I think this is a major disservice to doctors, this is not taught in any schooling that they have growing up. They don't get this in college. They're focused on science courses and, becoming a doctor. In medical school, they do not address these things. In your residency, maybe you observe good practices, you maybe observe bad practices. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in the situation where it's like, hey, I have a business and I don't know how to run it. And so you're just kind of making it up as you go. And that can be a very lonely feeling. So the things that I hear, because I always like to check in with our members, what's been the impact of the work that we're doing so far? I like to ask questions like that just to get a litmus test for where we're at. And the most common thing that I hear is, I feel like I've been alone all this time and I finally have a partner. And I think that feeling is really important. And I literally was on a call this morning and they're like, I feel hope for the first time.
Wow.
So my heart beats wildly when we get to do that kind of work. I could get really emotional around it because think about these doctors, like you, Doc. You're sitting here listening to this and you might feel alone. You're like, that's me. I've been alone. I've been doing the best job I can. I'm trying to be a good doctor. I'm trying to be a good business owner. And then I've got to be a good husband or a wife, and I've got to be a good father or mother. Like all these things compound. And I think sometimes you just feel like you've got to just bear all this weight on your own, and you just don't have to. There is hope out there. And so when I get to see that, I see doctors come back to life.
Wow.
And that to me is, I think that's the reason I exist.
No.
To help with that. So
I agree, Joe.
Yeah.
So what are some of the most common issues or problems you feel like these practice owners are having that they come to us to help them solve?
So typically everyone comes through our discovery and then our foundation membership. During discovery, we usually uncover, there are some deeper needs that you have and that we can help you with. So everyone starts there. I would not come into a relationship with Terra Firma expecting anything more. Go through discovery process, and we'll find out if there's a good fit for you or not. But the most common issues that I see surround, like, they've built their practice on their own back. And so they are the main doctor, whether they're a dentist or a chiropractor or a physician or surgeon, whatever it might be, like, they are the main revenue generator for the business, and they wear a lot of hats. So they are the CEO, they are the main physician, they're, all of those things. They're trying to manage staff. Maybe they have one or two good office managers who are running things, but it's still being reported up to them. So business operations are on them. Oftentimes their businesses have gotten to where they are now because they're a good doctor, right? Mm-hmm. So they've word of mouth, referrals, that sort of thing. They haven't really cracked the code for, how do I get to the next level? How do I market appropriately? How do I create a lead flow where I've got more than just like referrals? Because word of mouth, although amazing and is like what we all want for our businesses, is not predictable for growth. And so I get to work with a lot of doctors who have a bigger vision for their practice. They're like, oh, I want to grow to multi-city or multi-state. I want to have but it feels very trepidatious because they're like, how do I replicate what I've done? Like, I can't go be there. And so a lot of what we're focused on is like, how do we fix that marketing engine so that they can have predictable lead flow? They can have predictable new revenue coming in. Another major area that they struggle with is, how do I attract and retain top level talent? So whether that's other doctors or nurse practitioners or people who are going to serve under them to serve those clients, they really struggle with placing that. I mean, we've worked with numerous practices now where it's like, the last time I hired a new doc was a decade ago.
Wow.
And I just don't know how to find good people, or they feel like they have to give up equity or they have to give up, partnership position in order to do that. You don't have to do that. We can help you build systems to scale. And then the last part is really operational efficiency within their organization. So those are like the main things that we focus on typically right away with our members who are in our elite programs.
So when you're assessing a practice, I mean, you just mentioned some of the things, but just from like an outsider's perspective, whether, what you can see online or what you can see when talking to them, like, what are you looking for right away? Like, what's the most low-hanging fruit that you see, like, oh, we can really help you there?
So I actually wouldn't say that we have this is customized. When they're entering this level of membership, it is really treated individually. So we have, I'll call it like a secondary discovery process with our members to see if what we can do is a good fit. We follow a lot of the principles that are in the value builder system. So we've learned how to adapt that specifically for physicians and practices. So we have them fill out a questionnaire to kind of get an assessment of where they're at on the 8 key drivers of business valuation. Like, I love the work that we do, like top line revenue, marketing, get more patients in. I adore the work that we do on taxes. So how do you keep more of that? But what I'm really passionate about is increasing the multiple of what typically is their biggest asset, which is their practice. So how do we increase the multiple upon sale of that? One, like, is it even saleable? And 2, how do we increase the multiple if it is sold? So we use that as a test early on to see if there's a good fit. And then we'll have other questions in discovery. I'm looking at things like, what's their public perception? So their Google and Yelp reviews. I can't tell you how many practices we've talked to who they come to us, and not only are their Google and Yelp reviews low, like low star rating, but like the most recent ones are really negative. And that's so frustrating as a business owner, any business owner. But there are things that you can do to really quickly turn that around. So we have a few things like kind of quick. If you're looking for like quick wins, we have some quick wins that we can deploy with people to turn that around, reputation management wise. So I think, and personnel is one of those things. A lot of the doctors that we work with who are practice owners, they've had staff for a long time. I have found that medical staff tend to be fairly loyal. They stay around for a long time. That can be a good thing, and that can be a really bad thing. And so, those people who are there currently may not be the people who are going to help you get to where you want to be. And so we do a personnel, we call it the people analyzer. So there's a process that we take people through to uncover, like, who are the staff that we'd want to clone and who are the staff that we want to let go of, and what's the process to do that. Doesn't happen all at once. But I think that's where a lot of our practice owners feel a lot of feeling empowered again, is like, okay, great. I'm charting the course and we're going to go in this direction intentionally.
That's great. So it sounds like we help shine a light on these different areas that might be causing your business to not thrive as much as it could, or to make you feel so pressured and maybe even unhappy. We shine a light on those areas and show you, here's what we can help you do.
Right.
So do you think that most practice owners have that mentality of, I want to sell my practice someday? Or do you think a lot of them haven't even considered that? Like,
I would say probably when people come to us, well, I was going to say, I couldn't even put a percentage on it. I think most people are not. We have had a few people who have come to us for that specific reason. I'm intending to sell and I want to increase the value. So that does happen. More often than not, though, it's just, hey, I have this giant asset. How do I increase the value for that day if I sold down the road? And it's better to think about that now, like candidly, before you're even contemplating selling, do the work to increase the value of your practice. Now, for the people who do want to sell, what I tell them is my job is to help you make a practice that you would never want to sell. Right? Because it's operationally so smooth and it requires so little from you. And you can just do the thing that you're passionate about, which is helping people, not running a business, right? Now, the cool thing is when you build a practice that you wouldn't want to sell, increases the value of it. Now, someone else is going to want that practice. Exactly. They don't want to inherit a set of issues. And that's when most people, like, candidly, when most people decide, hey, I want to exit this thing, it's oftentimes because of frustration. It's like, I'm just sick and tired of this.
And it can be too late, right?
And it oftentimes is too late. So now, I mean, there are buying groups and there are ways that you can enter into that, but a lot of those are going to require like extra service. So you're going to sell your practice and you're going to be required to stay as part of that practice for 3 or 4 years or 5 years, whatever that might be. And then you might have a second bite of the apple at that time. But it's like, that's not usually what people want, or from my perspective, what people want. When they get to that point where it's like, hey, I want to sell, it's usually because they're exhausted. So I think that's part of when I was saying that people say things like, I finally have hope again. It's like we shift the tie back. We were working with a doctor who was candidly so fed up with his practice, he just didn't go into the practice. And I told him, my number one goal is for me to make it so that you want to come back to the office. And within a very short period of time, he was excited to be in the practice again. So that's a very common experience. I will say, like, Doc, if you're listening to this and you fit that mold, you already need to take action. So you're behind the 8 ball with this. If you're already feeling that anxiety, you're already feeling like, hey, I don't like being here, you need to act quickly. This is not one of those things where, like, let's just wait and see. What's going to happen is you're going to experience severe burnout, not just in your practice. That's going to bleed over into other aspects of your life. It's probably affecting your marriage. It's probably affecting your physical life. All these things are tied together. So even though on the business side, like, we do focus on the practice, we still are coming from a holistic perspective. How do we help you as a human being? Spiritual, family, business, financial, fitness, all of it ties together.
And what's ironic is that most of these practice owners or business owners in general, you go into your own business versus being an employee so that you can have more freedom and so that you can call the shots. But instead, you find something that now it's all on you. And so you have less freedom. And when we talk to our members, like you said, they all start in the foundation and the discovery process, and we walk them through their freedom roadmap. You know, what are your core values and what are your milestone goals? And nearly all of them, it's all about freedom of time, because it is the one resource that we will never get back. And so many of them feel like they will never have it, or it's so far into the future. So I think when we can show them freedom is closer than you think, it's just about toggling these key drivers.
Yes.
And my question, as we're talking about selling, because I do have a few members who've like been approached to sell their practice. I think so often we've seen that selling a business or a practice is hard. And a lot of times the sale does not go through for whatever reason, or you've waited too long. Like I said, now it's too late. So if, let's say that you are a practice owner who you're not ready to be done, but you have the opportunity to sell your practice. We see this all the time in Value Builder and the stories that we hear. You sell your business or you sell your practice, but you still have so much to give. Now you feel a little lost. So, like, how do we help with the mindset part of that and like casting the vision for what life can look like after you sell your practice?
I honestly, a lot of it is actually contemplating that, is thinking about that time. And the vast majority of entrepreneurs, and if you're a practice owner, you are an entrepreneur, are not prepared for that exit.
Yeah.
And some of it has to do with our identity. So all of a sudden, the thing that consumed the vast majority of your time and took up most of your thought processes is now, I'll call it like yanked out from underneath you. Who am I?
Yeah.
Not even like, what do I do? Forget what you do. Who are you now? I was doctor. I was business owner. I was the person. I was the key person. And now all of a sudden I'm none of that. And so I think the preparation for that, there is a process that we take people through. We actually have a whole assessment for like, are you even ready for this kind of experience? So some of the things that we're doing is just kind of forecasting what this is going to look like, beginning to plan for that. This is more deeply like psychological work than it is like fundamentals of business,
right?
Although the fundamentals of business do have to happen. But I mean, just to shed more light on that too, Erin, there are a couple of things to keep in mind for people who are contemplating selling their practice. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you know a doctor who is contemplating selling their practice, send them this episode. They need to hear this stuff because, Doc, you have no idea what's about to come into your world. You've never done this. Or for those most practice owners, they sell their practice one time. They build it up, they sell it, and then they're retired.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the first time that they're doing, it's the first and only time.
Yeah.
And we expect a lot from that first rodeo. You've heard people say like, this ain't my first rodeo. It's like,
yeah.
we put a lot on that only rodeo. Right. And so I think, thinking through these things becomes really critical. Some of the stats on the back end, it's well above 80% of businesses that go to sell do not ever complete the sell. Like 8 out of 10, more than 8 out of 10 do not even sell. Like that's a terrible stat. That should be a terrifying stat to most people. So one, do I even have a sellable asset? Number two, it was either 93. I can't remember the exact stat. Maybe it was 96% of people who sell their business within 12 months regret having made that decision. Again, that should be a terrifying stat. Imagine that. Like, only 4 out of 100 actually appreciate that. And then the stats on the satisfaction with the financial terms of the sale is astronomically low as well. And I'm just telling you, there are things that you can do on purpose to set yourself up for success with that. And that's a lot of what we help people with. So it's the mindset, it's the fundamentals of business, and then the preparation for exiting.
Those stats are kind of scary, but at least having an awareness about them can give you a better chance of avoiding those things when your turn comes.
Precisely.
So the takeaway here, Doc, is that we understand being a practice owner can be isolating, and you aren't taught a lot of this in medical school, and you are freedom-minded, but you just need a good partner to help you. So whether you are feeling like it's all on your shoulders, or you can't find the right people, or bookkeeping and payroll is, not going well, or you want to sell someday, like there's all kinds of things that we can help you with in our membership. So it all starts with that first call. We'd love to talk to you. We hope you found a lot of value from this episode. Hit subscribe, share with your friends. Joe, thank you so much for everything that you shared. And we will see you next time. Until then, go be a Wealth Maverick.